In this episode, you'll get a breakdown of the quote, "Competition is the crucible where boys become kings," and why avoiding challenge keeps you spiritually soft. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. Here's 3 things you'll discover today. Number 1, why spiritual men who avoid competition stay weak and ineffective in the real world. Number 2, how jiu-jitsu, weightlifting, and business teach you about consciousness faster than meditation ever could. Number 3, the difference between toxic competition, ego-driven, and sacred competition, spirit-driven. So let's look at the quote. Competition is the crucible where boys become... this is a funny way to sort of get to the point of, man, a gritty life, someone who knows how to sweat and really work and not complain, it strengthens you and everyone around you. So this is where the word competition gets a little tricky, and I want to define how we're using competition in this context. For me, competition is not an emotional fit. It's not an emotional, disrespectful, arrogant thing. Competition is something where you and another person who both have committed thousands or hundreds, however many hours to a certain path, just bringing your best, not with this shallow goal to hurt another, even if you're in martial arts, or it comes from a place of something powerful, not a shallow, diminishing, or immature. So, but all of that being said, it's important to see other people and let them inspire you. That's how I would put it, right? Like when you compete, you want to inspire the people watching you. I think that's what would matter more to me than trying to in with any certain aggressive or vicious attitude. That doesn't mean I wouldn't be quick, sharp, strong, right? Etc. I'm just saying that there's a way to do things. And you'll see it in the best of the best always. They're filled with humility, even if they're aggressive and they bring intense energy to their bouts of any specific match. There's always a humility to the ones who are top, Mount Rushmore, the best of the best. So when we look at competition, crucible, and boys becoming kings, it's kind of a opportunity for so much inspiration to compound and almost explode, create some beautiful fireworks, right? That's like the scene. And if you are a boy or an adolescent, almost anyone really, there has to be a earning every day. No matter what you do, it doesn't need to be weightlifting or competition in a 1v1 manner. Just in some way, there has to be a rhythm, something that gets you up, something that drives you. And the important factor is that it comes from a peaceful place. Again, I'll use the word immature in terms of you can notice when you're acting from jealousy. You can notice when you're acting from anger. You can notice all of these things. So let's hop into point number 1 to build on this. Why spiritual men who avoid competition stay weak and ineffective in the real world. When you have showed up for something consistently and you give it your all, it changes your heart. It changes you. It gives you a reward deeper than any achievement or physical milestone ever could. It almost shows you how to care about yourself. And when you learn how to find these activities or actions that truly get you going, like excite you, set you on fire in a good way, that makes you strong. So, on the other end, when you avoid caring, when you avoid committing, going all in, taking calculated risk, you see that competition requires all of that. It requires you to really go hard. And funny enough, in going hard, it also, if you're honest, that teaches you how to recover. Because any person who knows how to fully push the limit also knows how to let off the pedal. Those things go hand in hand, they mix. So that's why, even if you're competing in sort of a closed off environment, what do I mean when I say that? Like, it's just a small competition. You're not world famous or anything. That changes you in the real world, anyways, because who you are, every moment, it's compounding. Every little thing that you do, it's sort of, you make these decisions. And when you have something that you really commit to, that's, man, throat. When you have something that you really commit to, it almost just lets all the other things, the weakness itself, evaporate. The fears, worries, insecurities. When you double down, when you say, I'm going to do it even if I'm scared, and you do that time and time again, your courage muscle, it's kind of like, hey, courage is fundamental. Almost every day of your life, you're going to need to have courage. So that's why you kind of keep the ball rolling. And I know I didn't like hammer home the point on weak men and being ineffective in the real world, but I flipped it around and kind of gave enough, right? So, point number two, how do weightlifting and business teach you about consciousness faster than meditation ever could? So, this is a aggressive point, and I'll say that meditation is extraordinarily valuable. You breathe, and that helps you in jiu-jitsu, in weightlifting, in business. But your real sense of being, of expanding, requires balance. There may be certain people on their paths that really can just meditate. But for me, myself, and a lot of people that I know, I would say you need like a, not to spread yourself too thin, but array. Plenty of balance and kind of space to be open minded and really kind of find what you love. Now, you may know that certain things are great, so do that, but be open minded. And I guess my point on there is that even though in weightlifting business they sound practical, yeah, they all mix together to sharpen you into someone who is dynamic. When you do not weigh yourself down with labels, with a single title, with these ideas that you're better than others, that you can only do certain things, you find yourself kind of getting skillful in many different areas. So that's what consciousness really comes down to, is understanding the entirety of the game, which is really that life is moment by moment. So, sure, you could do something a lot, 40, 50 hours a week, but the fact is, seasons pass, and as you live your entire life, you want to be kind of more intelligent than just attaching to a specific thing that you do and then wrapping your identity around that certain season of your life, because that can really prevent you from learning about the nature of who you actually are. Now, when you do jujitsu and weightlifting and you do business, they all are going to throw you into, number one, the fact is you need courage, but they're going to throw you into the fire of, for jujitsu, you have to face other people and you learn about your own insecurities, your fears, and you'll be tested, but you'll get stronger. Of course, that's only way you get stronger is through putting yourself in the arena. So you got to have that courage to say, you know what? I'm going to do this. And funny enough for me, jujitsu is very calm, extremely calm. When I started, of course, it wasn't like that. Everyone's a little bit spazzy as a white belt. But nowadays, it's like, man, this is smooth, this is not stressful. I get into such amazing vibrations doing jujitsu. It's beautiful. It really is. And see, another thing is like, even right now, you do many different things. You can write, you can speak, you can exercise, move your body, you can study and intake information, but you don't always need to be constantly intaking information, right? So there's this balance. You learn to say, all right, these are the things that really charge me. You pay attention to how you feel in the moment that you're doing something. The bottom line is that there's not any one path. That's really the point I need to hammer home. Like, you can learn, grow, have an amazing life, and awaken and impact so many people in a beautiful way through just learning how to be here in the moment and feel through all of the charge that you get through that commitment to honesty and awareness and presence. It's hard. Sometimes it's heavy, but you breathe and the weight, it gets lighter. You also get stronger, the combination. And then you do whatever you're meant to do because, to be very honest with you, there's so many paths. That's why I speak in this way. All you have to do is learn how to hear and see. And that is really paired with having a honest investigation with what is obstructing your hearing, your vision. Now, point number 3, the difference between toxic competition, ego driven, and sacred competition, spirit driven. Really, it's kind of the frequency which you're emanating, but in simpler terms, the frequency is based upon the kind of work that you have put in to noticing what you're emanating. Because you can only change your aura by having awareness of the inputs and having this clarity in relationship to your energy. So, to have a clarity in relationship to your energy, you notice those moments when you get tense, right? And you unravel with an open mind, with a strong heart, and you trust that unraveling will somehow lead you to better understand, how do I actually work, right? Because you move through life, sometimes you feel great, and then other times you have this tense. It could be a mood, it could be different variables. It surely is different variables. But you're an architect of your life. You need to understand what's creating how you're building. What's the root to what you're sending out to the world? Because everything just comes back to you. So you get clear on what you're sending out. And you would do this through, it doesn't happen like by force. And mentally, your cognition, your ego will want a time frame, right? Because that's how humans work. You know, we measure. We constantly measure. So in this field of really getting to the core of a real like competition and pettiness and ego driven kind of forceful competition, you just decipher and you learn to discern. And there's a grace in that. Sometimes that grace is as suffering to kind of push you to then understand, all right, I have to look better. The suffering shows you time after time until you really look that you're burning yourself. So then you have this epiphany of, oh yeah, okay, I'm not going to put that energy out. I created that energy. I know what that feels like. But then you get it back. Some point in your life, whenever, if you're listening to this still, I'm sure you resonate. You feel that burn. And you're like, man, I'm not going to do that to myself. I can understand it at some level, in some form. And Then, of course, you get trapped, right? You still get triggers, and sometimes you're not always sharp. And that makes you learn even faster. But ultimately, the point of real competition is that you're bringing your best to the table and you're enjoying it. And you're sharing something that's beautiful, something that is beyond weakness. Anything up from courage. And a real competition, the people aren't thinking about what's going to happen. They're not worrying. They are fully present in the moment, doing their best. And you can surely see it too. When true competitors are high caliber, you can feel it. It's not, how do I put it? Maybe it's not every day that you see that, but surely you'll see it more and more because competition from strong individuals who are doing the work, who are unraveling sort of their own weakness, and they're not like attached to everything, they know how to pour it all on the table and how to not throw tantrums, right? And how to be respectful and how to treat thyself as thy neighbor, treat thy neighbor as thyself, even in a competitive environment. So there may be moments, there may be flair. It's all right, bring energy, but there's lines, right? And there's humility packed into all of the intensity of a real healthy competition. So, let's look at the summary. You cannot transcend the ego by avoiding the battlefield. Step into the arena, feel the fire, let competition burn away everything that isn't real. This is how consciousness becomes embodied. I like that. New episodes are out Monday, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I wrote a book if you want to get into better shape fast. I put a decade plus, the amount of hours I've put into this in terms of fitness and weightlifting and nutrition, insane. So it was a real fun activity to kind of distill all the information, package it, learned so much through this process. I'll definitely be writing more in the future. So, yeah, if that piques your interest, just check that out. Description.